Welcome back to WCS Valencia as we get into a round of 32 even further. I said that like a Harry Potter spell then. It was a bit weird. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, we are getting ready, and I am joined once again at the desk by Todd, and in control. We have a lot of cool games to be covering, not only on the laptops, but also what's to come here on the main stage as well. We have Haas going up against SpeCial. Todd, I know you're excited for this one.
Of course, we just saw Haas take out Bly. It was a 2-1. It was some crazy games. Charge loads were being used, and Haas was up to his old shenanigans and of cheesing. SpeCial took out Deshi with a 2-1 score. Very important to take first place here, because then you take on a second place finisher, supposedly not as hard later on in the bracket in a round of 16. So pretty big match on our hands. On paper, SpeCial should be the big favorite, rank 4 currently in the WCS Circuit standings. Yeah. Whereas Haas is in 22nd place and in dire need of points if he wants to be able to make the global finals.
And actually, we need to update some people with results, because there's some very crazy things that have gone on in the round of 32. So let's take a look at the groups so far and get you up to speed as to what's gone on, because we're going to be covering TLO versus Neeb as well on one of these laptops. And Jeff, that's the losers match in that group.
That is the loser match. So Todd talked about how taking on a second place player is supposedly easy. Forget about it. Todd predicted Showtime to win this thing. I mean, look at that. Neeb could be the second place player. Or does TLO finally represent the German people for once defeating the Americans? It's probably going to happen eventually.
Well, regardless of how that goes, it's either TLO loses to Neeb again in the round of 32 and gets eliminated by him again, or we lose our champion. We lose our reigning, undisputed, current defending champion, Todd. That would be monumental, actually.
Yeah, which, to be fair, that would mean that then the winner of these tournaments, those make the global finals for a change.
Yeah, that's true, for a change. It's happened like one time.
Neeb gets his own suite or something like that. Like, well, which group do you want, Neeb? You got a seat in all of them. Yeah, but that'd be amazing. And that kind of goes to show how competitive this is. It is an interesting spot, because we talked a little bit about this earlier, but Valencia is just right off the heel of Young Shiping. So for a lot of these guys, they've been traveling, they've been working hard, but it's tough. It's a tough schedule for these pro gamers.
Yeah, definitely is. And you're currently covering Cloudy versus Lambo, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that, and yeah, keep you guys posted later on.
Cool.
I see some crazy stuff happening a little bit here and there, but we're not yet at the point where I need to give updates.
It's cloudy. He'll let you know later if it gets stormy. I'm done.
I see what you did.
That's it. Wow. That's what I'm here for.
Sometimes you have hits and sometimes you have misses.
Listen, Artosis has like 7 kids now, so the dad joke thing falls on me. All right? I got to do it.
I suppose so, especially when he's not here. Let's talk about Haas versus SpeCial coming up in just a few moments' time here.
I've noticed the worse my joke is, the harder Todd laughs, actually.
But he kicks in later as well. I'm like, that was so bad.
It was really bad, yeah.
It was pretty bad, yeah. Let's talk about SpeCial. He comes off the back of a 3rd and 4th at Austin. Comes off the back of a 5th through 8th, I should say, at Jönköping. So not exactly the highest of highs there for him at Jönköping, but he still looks formidable.
Even more importantly, he lost twice to Neeb in some very close series. Let's be clear about one thing. He's never supposed to lose to Haas, but then again, nobody really is, yet they do. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
I know. I look at this and I'm like, wow, this should be 15 minutes of just Terran just beating down a Protoss. Right. But it's Haas. And my favorite part about Haas, too, and I hope you guys do get to see, this is the stage match. Look at his face when he's doing these things. Because there's players in the past who'd be like laughing or kind of like, oh no, here I go. But him, no.
Stoic.
Of course I had the 15th cannon. Of course I triple cannon rush this Terran player. Like everything's just as according to plan with him.
It's normal. It's just normal. We saw him going for the, what was it, the 8-gate Zealot against Bly.
Oh, too bad.
It's gone. It's done. Cloudy wins. It's 1-1, I think, in that series
I blinked, I looked back, and then the game
Cloudy's up 1-0. Here's your update.
No, I think it's 1-1. I think Lambo won the previous game.
Cloudy's 1-1.
There you go. Well done. All right, we're ready to go over to the stage. Save us, Smix. How are you doing, Smix?
Nope.
Where are you?
She's not ready.
I don't know if there's much I can do to save that, but in Control, I have to say I'm a huge fan of the dad jokes, so please keep them coming. But for now, of course, we do have the winners match of Group D. It's good to note, Haas 2-1'd Bly and SpeCial 2-1'd Daishi. So the winner here does move on to the round of 16. Now, the boys at the desk already mentioned this. SpeCial has had a fantastic year in terms of WCS results, but that being said, Haas is now notorious for having tricks up his sleeve. So without further ado, the winners match of Group D. It is Haas versus SpeCial.
That is the face of terror.
You say the face of terror there, Jeff?
Yeah, these are a tale of two cities. There's Haz, who literally, he doesn't have tricks up his sleeves. He's got tricks in his wallet, in his ankles.
He doesn't have tricks up his sleeve. He has pylons, overcharges, oracles, adepts, and charge loss, apparently.
You look at him and you're like, look, his hair's parted to one side, but that's exactly when he flips it to the other side.
Ooh.
Speaking of the other side, there's a guy who calls himself SpeCial. And boy, is he special. He's one of the best Heron players you got. He's actually early invited to the GSL versus World big tournament that's happening in early August.
Yeah, that's true.
He will be there representing Terran. You guys can vote, by the way, on the other players. Make sure and check out the website link.
Did you vote, Jeff?
I vote with my heart all the time.
And who is it?
I am going to vote for Showtime, probably, because I feel like if you give it another chance. Yeah.
Why did I ask? This backfires so bad.
Why is that bad?
Why is that bad, Todd?
Yeah, what are you laughing?
Because he's coming back with the revenge.
Coming back, yeah.
In the GSL versus the World Tournament. What now? I actually think he might get voted in.
Yeah,
probably
he should.
And win.
He'll step it up and then perform very well. But speaking of someone who has stepped up in this year, I would say that SpeCial is certainly someone, right?
I have an update.
What happened?
Can I get a zoom in on my face, please?
No.
Robot, one.
You don't get to make demands.
2018
the only answer to Kayla is
WCS.
his voice.
I feel like we've broken Jeff this segment.
2018 WCS. I asked for that. Triple zoom in from every angle. All right, now listen. Neeb versus TLO. Game number 1 goes to Neeb.
Yeah.
It was some really standard adept stuff kind of going back and forth. TLO just succumbed to the pressure. That's it. But
that was your update.
Well, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
Fantastic
beautiful.
breakdown.
Beautiful stuff. Thank you very much for that. Somebody who's had a good year, it's SpeCial, obviously, having his WCS runs. He's been playing a lot in Korea, etc. It feels like we've said year after year after year, when is it SpeCial's year? But it feels like this one's the one. But when you say so?
He's playing at a championship caliber. He knows it. He got stopped by the eventual champion, which is kind of always an interesting story, too, by the way, is that in StarCraft, we don't look at that as much because we're very results-driven, but he did literally lose to the one guy who basically lost to nobody else.
Twice.
He only lost one. Yeah, twice. It's a big deal. And I think he's kitted out to do it. Like his TVZ, which these terms have been very Zerg heavy, has been extremely impressive. He loses to Neeb, but I feel like he beats probably every other Protoss except for maybe like a Showtime in his prime. He's looking to be incredibly strong. And that's why I once again, and I cannot believe you're voting, you guys, 53% in favor of Haz?
In favor of Haas, yes.
Is it 5 o'clock somewhere out there? I mean, come on, people.
And he goes by many names. One is the breaker of Kyle Aris. Likewise, so does SpeCial have many names. Todd, what do you think about this matchup going in?
Like I said before, I think SpeCial is the overwhelming favorite, but Haz is going to bring his own brand of Protoss, his own brand of StarCraft to the matchup. And if he's able to surprise SpeCial, we're in for a treat because Haz is going to be amazing. People breaking you once again and making you chuckle quite a bit.
He could be going through in first place in this
well.
group.
How does Haz do it, though? Did you guys know that his hobby is he's actually the lead guitarist for a Death Cab for Cutie cover band
This is absolutely
in Taiwan? Yeah. It's on his Wikipedia. And he still finds the time to practice that much cheese.
This is absolutely not on his Wikipedia.
You know what? You're right.
You almost had me.
I'll tell you what.
I'll
tell you what. I can't shoot you wrong, players. Can't shoot you. You're right. He does not do that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I guess we're ready for the game now. So let's head over to the commentary team for WCS Valencia.
Yes, we are ready to just about get into this. The game is counting down. Thank you, guys at the desk, for that incredibly enlightening commentary. Are you a part of any cover bands, Fear Dragon?
You know, I actually was once part of a Coldplay cover band. Didn't go anywhere.
Nice, nice. Well, hopefully this is a little bit less depressing than that as we get into this Terran versus Protoss series. It's going to kick off on Abyssal Reef, spawning in the top left position as the game is paused. Well, okay.
Sound is working, or sound is...
Tell me more then. Were you the singer or the guitarist or what?
You know, I was both the singer and the guitarist and the bassist, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Almost sounds like a one-man operation.
Yeah, my stuffed animal bunny was actually playing the drums. I think that's where the band fell apart.
That's amazing.
We had a breakup.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic. So this series, I think we can both kind of say you can't really look at it like a normal Terran versus Protoss. Like, we expect Haas to do crazy stuff. And I think based on what we were able to see of his series that he just played before this, he played Bly. If you guys didn't see, it was broadcast on the Base Trade TV stream.
Yep.
All I saw was him literally just massing charged zealots. He had a War Prism, and he actually only built zealots and just killed them.
Oh, it was great. And if you missed the series
disgusting.
and you want the quick updates, I highly recommend going ahead and checking out Wax Angel's Twitter, if you guys know him.
Yeah.
Saint Snorlax.
He's
on
running.
Twitter.
He's running the ticker here that you see under the video sometimes. When those guys at the desk are being boring and not showing you the games.
Of course, but one thing I do actually want to mention is that these two guys actually played at WCS Austin this year, and Haas lost 0-2 to SpeCial. So it doesn't exactly bode super well. In fact, Haas really hasn't had, I would say, the greatest year at WCS Premier events. He didn't take a single game at Austin and didn't quite qualify for Jönköping.
The key to beating Haas usually seems to be to just be like aware of whatever it is that he might do in that particular game. And as far as like Protoss aggressive options go, I mean, you basically just got to prepare for a pylon rush, right? And then sometimes it's with the Stargate follow-up if it's really fast. I mean, if you play NA ladder, sometimes it'll be like proxy robotics facilities, but that's not quite as common. I feel like SpeCial is just like such a well-rounded player. You know, he plays a lot in the Korean scene. He's so good that I have to ask myself, like, what does Haas do to win this series? Because I feel like Major just, SpeCial just has to do his thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that Haas is the one that has to upset the balance of the game. And if he can make this a crazy, scrappy game, which is definitely something I think he would maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with, then, yeah, I think he actually has a pretty good chance. But Major, if he just gets to, or SpeCial, if he just gets to play his game, then I give a huge favoritism towards SpeCial.
Yeah. If this goes into a standard macro TVP, SpeCial should thrash him. And of course, you guys are trying to let us know what you thought in the chat. Obviously, there's a lot of Twitch chat bias for Haas because he is a crazy player. You guys like watching us freak out when we have no idea what's happening. And you guys enjoy freaking out as well. We all know it. We're waiting for a crowd shot of someone with their mouth agape, stunned, as Haas somehow wins this first game with a cannon rush. But I don't see it happening.
It will be pretty amazing, especially if he makes it happen with something like a cannon rush versus a Terran player. Just not something you usually hear about that often.
I'm just racking my mind because SpeCial has had such a good year. He's been playing so well. It doesn't strike me as possible that he's going to be like caught off guard and in some big way. It does seem like we're going to be remaking this lobby, so just bear with us, guys. Hopefully you're having a nice day. It's very nice out here today in Valencia, Spain.
Yeah.
It's very warm. I just came over from California and I was like, yeah, the weather's actually the same. It's been very hot all week back in LA, and I like it here. Beach is nice.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice weather. I was told about, oh man, it's going to be so hot. Prepare your shorts. It's going to be terrible. But I think we are hopping to a short little break, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for this exciting and epic series.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Valencia. I do apologize for the slight technical issue that we're experiencing on the main stage. However, we do have games that are going on here at the desk. So, Jeff, I think you're still currently in TLO versus Neeb. How that's going at the moment?
It is that 1-0 in favor of Neeb, but TLO reached into his bag of tricks and pulled out a Crumpus. It is now 1-1.
Just finished.
In this best of 3. It was on Sequencer in that game for 2, and it was just some pretty cool pressure back and forth. To be honest, Neeb did exactly what he did in game number 1 to win. Some adept pressure with some oracles. TLO was able to adapt, push back with Hydra Ling, and scored a decisive victory to make this go to that game 3.
So there's a potential that our champion could still be eliminated. Todd, you were in Cloudy versus Lambo, and in great fashion, you know, when we wanted to come back to these games, both of them finished at the same time. So
yeah, that was crazy, actually.
Yeah.
We're like, let's go. We got action over there. Then, as we're about to come back, like both games, actually, I'm actually loading up the replay. Maybe we can take a look. I thought that was a sick build order from Cloudy, which on Sequencer, like we were talking about it with Jeff, it's just, I think, insanely good. So if we could jump into the game there, I'll show it to you guys. So
you guys listen to him.
He opened one Oracle, then made a second one, and then added 2 more Stargates. So you might think, all right, well, he's doing like Has, right? He's going to go mass Oracles, but no. Actually,
well, kind of.
Well, no. Just no. Mass Oracles.
5's not mass to you?
No. Mass is like...
When does it happen? 6?
From 8 to 10, you know.
8
like,
to 10?
Yeah,
all right.
Mass is
it
half
is what
style.
there's- So like he gets at least 1 more per Stargate, and the goal with this is going to be to surprise with like 5 to 6 Oracles, go onto that base and kill the Spore and then kill all the drones. But then that's where the transition happens. He goes into Void Race, adds a Twilight Council and a Forge, and plays an SOS-esque style of Void Race, Charge Lot, and Archons. Even like these 5 Oracles, like I feel like it's like the most beautiful part. They just come in there, kill everything, and that builds like, we need at least 3 Pig Dailies on this one.
Yes.
So everybody can use it.
A week of Pig Dailies.
Perfect, perfect.
A Pig Weekly.
A Pig Weekly.
Pig Weekly.
It's a new thing. All right, great.
Lose it at that, too. It's like...
We've done it, we've made it. All right, I'm getting word that we are ready to go back into our series on the main stage. So without further ado, let's head over to the casters.
Once again, even more enlightening information from the desk. Apparently 8 or 9. One of those 2 is where you tip into the mass Oracle section. I mean, that's on the table for this TVP series. We are loading back into Abyssal Reef.
I would call it likely, Nathanius. Likely.
Yeah. I would not be surprised if he massed Oracles in any of these games, but I guess we'll find out. We are actually kicking off this best of 3. In the top left of Abyssal Reef, we have the blue Protoss player hailing from Taiwan. He is Haas.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Terran player. It's SpeCial. So Nate, I know that you mentioned this. One of the big things we're immediately going to be on the lookout for are those pylon rushes, because those actually transition pretty well into a lot of the Oracle openings and everything else.
You tend to have a probe out on the map to get a proxy or something like that set up most of the time, so it just kind of lends itself to that you want to keep the probe there, especially if they open up with a Reaper. So far, immediately worth pointing out, SpeCial has opened up with a gas first for this barrack, so he has the option to go for a very fast factory inside of his base. He has not opted for a quick second gas or anything like that. So this could just be a very quick 1-1-1 to get up to Widow Mines, maybe a medevac, maybe he wants to bring the aggression if Haas plays standard. And I think that's, well, he's got options. I mean, we see Haas actually just going for a straight up 1-gate expand. He doesn't even have the second assimilator started. He goes before Cybernetics Core even. So he's playing about as straight up as you could play.
The cheesiest thing a cheeser can do.
I hate
play
that
the macro game.
I hate that quote. Because most cheesers still suck at macro games because they never practice them.
Yeah, that is absolutely something that we've seen in Haas's games, is that if there is a weakness in his play, it is when it gets to the super duper later stage of the game, he starts not quite being able to macro quite as well as most
It's
of
something
his
he's equally known for is his cheesiness, is how slow the macro gets later on. And I would still proffer that SpeCial is so good, you still need to do something crazy. Like, you're not just going to one gate expand and be like, okay, well, SpeCial did not do anything ridiculous himself. He's gone for this quick reactor. He's got his factory on the way, natural expansion. And I would argue that SpeCial's got way more practice doing whatever build he's doing right now than Haas would have doing something normal. And here we have a proxy pylon. So now I'm expecting something a little weird. Maybe a delayed proxy Stargate. Maybe he's hoping that SpeCial will be like, okay, the window for a proxy Oracle is passed, and I didn't see a Stargate in his base.
Yeah.
So I won't have anything to defend him. Maybe that's how he gets an in?
You know, I do actually wonder because I know that occasionally, okay, well, we see a proxy Twilight Council. Now, Nate, what is the advantage of proxying the Twilight Council?
I mean, he doesn't want SpeCial to know what he's going for. And in my mind, I think the average human would be like, the logical response, okay, maybe he wants to proxy a Dark Shrine with it. But for some reason in my brain, I'm thinking about that Mass Zealot build again. And I'm really hoping it's not that, because I feel like it'd be terrible versus a Terran player that opens up with Widow Mines. But then again, that might actually catch him off guard enough with the 2 base economy. Pokes the Stalker away.
Well, it does keep the Reaper pinned pretty far back, so it's not going to be able to
It
get
is
way out.
DTs.
Yeah. And also a gateway, so he's going to have those fast warp-ins on the other side of the map. SpeCial does get out with that Reaper, so he's going to move in and scout a whole lot of nothing, which should tip him off that something is happening.
Yeah, there are a couple of tells to this. The opening up with the Stalker is also a deny scout play, because you have a bit of the speed, you have that range and the damage. And he wants to block him from seeing this, but look, you come in, you see a Robo just starting at 345. It's, there's like it looks like there's a pylon missing too. There's only one in the mains. Well, this is a little bit, it feels like there should be a little bit more here. But yeah, there's the engineering base starting up. I think this is a very intelligent read from SpeCial because he didn't see anything. And he opened up with the Stalker. Like, he doesn't want to harass. Like, is he going to go fast blink? Well, the Twilight will lend itself to that after this, after the DTs come out.
Well, I do agree. I really like SpeCial's response because he's getting up the safety precautions, he's getting up the...
He's still going to attack.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to put on pressure and say, well, if you're doing something weird, and I saw that you didn't really have a whole lot back at home, well, I can put on aggression, and if you take too long to get ramped up, then you're just going to die.
SpeCial protect, but he also attack. And the DTs are coming in, but he's got everything that he needs to deal with this. There's a Widow Mine at the front. He doesn't have the turret yet, but he is building a Raven. And this could get a little bit dicey. Did he pre-build? I'm going to double check. He did not build any missile turrets in advance. So he had the eBay, but he didn't actually do anything with it. So he actually should take some damage. He also just dropped his only energy for mules.
That's going to be a little bit painful. The supply depot is also down, so the DT gets straight up into the main base. At the same time, on the other side of the map, the drop has mostly been cleaned up. The Widow Mine is still alive and able to do a bit of damage, but there was that Robo that we saw earlier on. DT almost gets surrounded by the SCVs, but again, he doesn't have the scan. He's waiting for that Raven.
Yeah, it sucks because he drops the scan. The DT's going to make it out. And now the Raven pops. So actually just straight up, I mean, pretty much just wasted the scan there, which really sucks in this position because he lost SCVs. Thankfully, he killed a decent number of probes on the other side of the map. He's not crazy far behind in terms of the economy. He doesn't have access to those mules that we talked about, but being down 5 workers is actually pretty normal for TVP, so it's not like this is the worst thing ever.
It feels like it's really kind of balanced out almost, I would say.
Yeah.
Haas even getting out with some of the DTs, but again, we talked about this. If this goes into a macro game, that's going to end up favoring SpeCial.
The income advantage chart shows that the big win here for Haas was that Major had to pull his SCVs away from the natural. So he had the worker count, but they're not all actually working since you can only mine really efficiently with the 24 workers on one base.
Huh, interesting. So he's researching Blink. Did he cancel Blink earlier? Because I feel like this is deja vu.
Yeah, it does feel that way. He got the 2 DTs in and he started the Robo in his main. He did finish the Robo. He has the Prism out.
Oh, adding on a lot of gateways. I think I know what this follow-up is going to be.
SpeCial is building a Banshee, and I don't like it. I don't quite understand. I could see it with Cloak. If you think that he canceled the Robo, you're like, maybe. But it's not going to be very strong versus what's coming his way. That Prism is headed towards the main base. He doesn't see it. He won't know about it until it hits where that supply depot is. He has a Widow Mine watching the north side, and that 3rd Nexus is actually done. So Haas is looking to get some damage in and go crazy on the economy behind it.
All right, some auto turret harassment is going to be ready, and he's just going to go for the single probe. Might be able to catch one on the pops out. No.
One probe for his Raven energy. He's about to take a walloping from this attack. So, okay, goes inside the main base, gets nothing else. Just okay. Finishes off the last few probes. Some of them are very low. Good target fire.
Yeah, but Blink is close to finishing now, as so is +1, actually getting a little bit closer to finishing. So we'll be seeing, I presume, some form of an attack from Haas.
It helps a lot with the Zealots, and of course that charge burst damage when they hit is big. I guess this Banshee can maybe catch him off guard for a second or two, but it's as simple as you just overcharge that pylon. It's already lost half of its hit points. So it really comes down to, I guess, how he deals with this. The auto turret came back. He did get a few more worker kills. He did this at the same time as the Banshee, actually. I really like this. He does manage to find some value in it. Of course, it will die, though. Even if he had a cloak, there was an observer there. But what's this Prism going to do? He's been very slow about actually using it.
Yeah, and now Blink has been revealed, so I don't think that having Blink is that odd of a thing for Protoss to have.
Especially since you know he went DTs.
Absolutely. So I don't think it should really be setting off too many alarm bells for Special, but he's got his Siege Tanks, he's got Widow Mines, he's got a decent Marine count. I think the one thing that he really just needs are a couple more medevacs so that he can put on a bit more pressure.
Yep, that's a part that often gets neglected when you go for something like a Raven opener. A lot of people ask about that. They're like, oh, why don't more people do this? Well, it's like, well, you don't have that reactor. Your medevac production comes out really late because the Raven also takes a long time to build. So he wants to do this double mine drop with this, and I like that. Marine Corpse, rip. Floating off into the depths of space, or the space ocean, as it were. But the Raven comes, and this is nice. So what he wants to do is poke this. You move out, getting the DT is nice. If he can clean up this proxy, like that's a gateway and his Twilight. Unfortunately, charge is already done, so it's not like he can block any of the tech. Well, like, he can block resonating glaives, but he mostly wants to distract so that this mine drop can get in, because this could do cataclysmic damage.
Mothership Core is here, but it's not reacting in time, and both of the Widow Mines are going to end up burrowing. Oh, Lord.
And that's a very nice pickup there. I feel like it could have been a little bit worse if they were spread out differently, but he does manage to hinder the economy there. The worker count is heavily favoring Special in this position, so actually I'm going to retract that. 6 probes in this situation is actually very nice for him to get, as he has his third base planted down. It is mining. Second robotics facility, Fear Dragon, with a Robo Bay. Disruptors are Colossus, since he opened with attack upgrades, and he has all these Zealots. I feel like he's going for like a bowl you over army.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I learned very early on in Legacy of the Void, Nate, is that disruptors and charge lots don't mix well together.
No.
You send out the charge lots, and then
they
dive, just kill your charge lots.
Yeah, they dive at the units you're trying to hit with that AoE that can kill your own units.
Yeah.
By the way, he has a ton of Zealots. 26 charge Zealots. He's double pumping out Colossus back home. All right.
You know, paired with that armor upgrade that we ended up seeing Haas get earlier on, and Guardian Shield, those Zealots are going to be so unbelievably tanky, but not quite versus these Siege Tanks, though.
Yeah, I like this. With a couple Siege Tanks and the Marine count that he has, since today he is also at 1-1, he can kind of tango with this. He needs to be careful. He drops that auto turret preemptively. But at the same time, that mine drop hits in the back. 21 probes, extremely vulnerable. He's going to pick off 8 of them, lambasting that economy once more. And Special's actually going a little overboard on his STVs. He's still building them, and he's at 75. You don't need this many STVs if you don't, especially if you don't have all your gases taken. So maybe he's a little bit on that autopilot mode. But
well, doing a pretty good job, though. I mean, the Widow Mine harassment, again, doing some serious damage. And Haas, you have to remember that these Zealots, they're great in a mid-game army. If this goes later and later onto the game, Widow Mine's still getting some more kills. But
Zealots are units that gain an extreme increase in value when you're ahead on specifically armor upgrades. And he's getting +2 attack.
That's true.
Because he's building Colossi and Stalkers. So his Zealots really aren't going to have that crazy utility, as when +2 attack finishes, if you have an attack upgrade advantage versus a Protoss who's relying heavily on Zealots to tank, you're going to destroy them. So that's just one of those things that could come back to bite him later on. And now I ask myself, since he didn't build another Twilight Council, he actually cannot get any other upgrades for the time being with that Forge once his +2 is done. He needs to build a Twilight if he wants to get that. He actually immediately does start a new one. But it's money he wouldn't have otherwise had to spend. Okay, so you coming up towards this ramp. That Pilot Truck does get caught.
And the Siege Tanks are sieging up very, very late on into the fight. The Liberator's also sieging up very late. And suddenly, Haas is actually starting to make some progress. He blinks on top of those Liberators, takes them all out, and Looks
That's
Special
it's
escapes some
deceiving
army,
because
but-
he doesn't have the money, right?
Yeah.
Special is still cranking out insane production right now. He's getting another command center, he's building Vikings, Marauders, Marines, +1 ship weapons, extra barracks. Whereas Haas is like, well, I lost a lot of workers. I'm still not saturated on 3 bases. And despite the fact that I took a good trade there, I killed a lot of what you have, I still can't really push to win or make, I can't push you back or take anything from that little victory.
I'd feel a lot better if those double robotic facilities were just continuously making more Colossus or something. So by trading that army away, he still had more Colossus. He could go for some big follow-up push, but it just doesn't feel like he has the power to do it with just 2 or 3 Colossus.
And it might also be that since he realizes that there's Colossi on the map, maybe he's thinking to himself, okay, well, Special's going to build a bunch of Vikings. And Special is at 5 Vikings right now. He's going up to 6, which versus 3 Colossi isn't really an impressive number. The attack upgrades are still rolling along, so he's going for +3, which will allow those Colossi to be more useful since we only have +1 armor for Special. This Liberator is going to siege up, though. We get a couple of cheeky probe kills here. And just hurting that economy so much. At the same time, the drop hits the natural.
Yeah. An overcharge goes off, and here we go. In the middle of the map, there's some good damage happening, and it's forcing Haas's army back because he's so out multitask right now and trying to deal with the drops in all sorts of angles.
And he can shred those zealots, too, with this army. If he kites against them, because he has the upgrade advantage, they only have that +1 armor. Now this kind of triggers Haas to push forward even more, but then you can't come back to defend. So he gets into those pylons. That +3 attack forge is right there. That's the juiciest right click I've ever seen. He's down to 45 probes. Denying that, he shuts down 3 of the warp gates, the robo, and the forge. And there's no pylons here to overcharge, so when the mothership comes over, maybe he gets the one on the left, but the Marines are going to focus that down too.
Yeah, even killing the mothership core is so painful for Haas because now he has to figure out how he's going to clean that up. Looks like some more units even getting picked off over there. The Raven leading the charge, taking out any observers. And Special is just taking charge of this game right now. But those Colossus able to do some really good damage, getting shredded by the Vikings now.
Yeah, the Guardian Shield helped with the Zealots, but that upgrade advantage was way too much as he plows through the meatiest parts of this army, and GG is called. Special takes game number 1.
That's exactly what we were talking about, Nate. When Special gets to that late game, even versus an ordinary opponent, not Haas, I would say Special is someone to look out for with his macro, but versus someone who I think struggles with that macro, it's going to be even harder.
When you want to play a style that relies on Colossus especially, your attack upgrades are so important because it's 2 attacks. Obviously, the Colossus is nowhere near as damage output-wise, just from the single attack as it used to be, but it benefits very heavily from those attack upgrades. And playing that with Zealots, if you're not doing Double Forge, because Double Forge limits the number of units you have, then the Zealots like the armor upgrades to actually tank through that and rip those Marines apart. So it gets into this weird space where if you're not ahead and you're playing a very heavy Zealot Colossus style with attack upgrades, as soon as you lose one fight, the Terran can just keep pushing you because you don't have the durability of that army. Guardian Shield won't save you, and the Terran has +2 versus your +1 armor.
Absolutely. Well, we get ready to hop into map number 2. It's going to be Proxima Station. And Nate, I kind of feel like on Proxima in this matchup, Haas is going to be somewhat more limited in the kind of weird things he can do.
It's much more difficult to scout early with a worker, so it could, turn into proxy me station. But at the same time, I just don't think, I don't really know what he could do against Special in a situation like this. I feel like we need to see something that we're still not expecting, that we haven't considered. Maybe it's still just like a proxy Stargate, like Phoenix or that type thing, but this is also an amazing defensive map. And if you're playing versus Haas and you're a Terran, well, why wouldn't you want to just play that slow game, get up to 3 bases? Maybe he could do a mind drop or something again, but there's no pressure on him to expose himself. And that's why that Warp Prism, he never got a chance to use it because he had the medevac out with those mines, but all of his Marines were at home. He didn't make any big pushes for a very long time in that game. Special played very patiently versus this aggressive Protoss.
Yeah, and it's not as though the Twilight Council and the Dark Shrine and everything just got scouted super early on. Special was very much in the dark that game, but his reaction not only handled exactly what he went up against with the Dark Templar, but it was handling oracles. It was handling a big Blink Stalker pressure at the front with the bunker. He was playing safe in a lot of other ways to account for other things, and I feel like he could just do the same thing on Proxima and probably be okay.
Yeah, I honestly think all he has to do is just play his A game against this guy who's currently trailing 0-1 in the northeast position. Our blue Protoss player, he is Haas.
And down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, sitting up 1-0. Give it up for the red Terran player. It's SpeCial. Terra getting a little bit messy.
Yeah, previously went by the handle of Major, a known Pokemon master. If the real world had them, he would be a gym leader for sure. Probably one of the tougher ones. He gets that barracks up. So he goes to the gas and then the barracks. This allows him to get his Reaper and his factory and his reactor pretty much at the same time, which is a little bit weaker to pylon rushes if you don't expect it coming, but does allow you to step up that tech just a little bit more quickly. So it's not bad. I don't mind it. It's very, I feel, versus a player like Haas, a little bit risky if you don't SCV scout, but clearly SpeCial feels comfortable. And he probably, in his mind and in his practice games, had enough matches where he's been like, you know what? I've seen people do this to me. I'm not really worried about it. Is that a full
That is a full wall
That is made?
and a very quick double gas with all 3 workers on both gas guys. This is undoubtedly going to be some kind of very quick teching up from Haas.
With it, look at this, that pylon, left side. Thing is, it takes a long time for an SCV to get there. And you could also have proxied at the gold base or on the bottom right. So there's so many different places for you to stick a pylon as a Protoss in the beginning of the game. The Terran's usually going to rely more so on just scouting you directly because this map is just huge. And look, this is where he's chosen to scout, is the middle. And he scouted, you chose poorly, my good sir, because there's 5 billion places that you can proxy something on this map. And it is a Stargate on the left side. So you can do Oracle into Void Ray, which is very, very strong because the Void Ray doesn't have very far to go and it did get that speed buff. The Reaper's going to check the left side. Is he going to go down far enough? Will he see it?
Oh, this is actually going to be a huge problem for Haas because now the Reaper sees the pylon. He can actually take out that pylon, depower the Stargate. Does Haas just cancel
I
it?
expect to see him throw the probe up and build another pylon right when the Stargate's finishing up. The Reaper won't be able to kill 2. And since, because of the build he's doing, he doesn't have any Marines coming in. He's just going straight for that reactor. So maybe he comes in, drops the second pylon. He should lose the probe at that time, and the Stalker will come across and start the forward pressure. But yeah, he should be able to get the Oracle out.
Okay, well, second pylon's going up. Like you said, it's a bit more of an investment, but Haas is mostly going to be
At this point, you're pretty committed, yeah.
Yeah, you have to make it work at some point in some way. May actually delay the Oracle by even a few seconds, which will make a bit of a difference.
Every little moment counts. It times out just perfectly, though, for Haas. But we have a Cyclone on the way. 2 Marines being built at a time. This is what I was talking about. He went for that gas first Reaper opening, and that allows him to get that factory just a little bit more quickly, which combined with the missile...
Oh, no missile turret at the natural. And okay, are we about to see a Roddy build?
I guess. Can we just call Roddy over here? I'll swap out with him if he wants to dive into this one.
Can Rotterdam please confirm if we are about to see Tempest? I mean, this could be carriers theoretically, but I don't know. What do you think would make more sense?
Well, none of it makes sense.
Okay,
Dragon.
What do you think is more Haas?
I expected Tempest because Tempest was just cheaper and build a lot faster. The weakness of a carrier rush in this strategy is that if SpeCial were to realize that it was a carrier rush, he could just go kill it because it'll take 5 years for the carrier to build. So that's why I'm expecting Tempest. It is Tempest. Tempest are coming out as Warp Gate finishes, and it's going to get weird. It's going to get freaky.
Okay, well, he also has that Oracle alive. He's going to use some of the energy to try and get a couple of worker kills, slow down SpeCial's economy because that Nexus for Haas is very, very delayed. But Oracle, it's also going to be useful if he wants to reveal any of the Widow Mines
You can play with the map very nicely with a strategy like this. You can use the Revelation to get vision for the Tempest. You can poke that main ramp from a very hard-to-hit location. Because think about it this way, Fear Dragon. Because he went for this 1-1 style, he doesn't even have Stim on the way. He doesn't even have barracks with Tech Lab on. So the only unit that can catch the Tempest is the Cyclone, which, as we know, actually shoots straight-up spitballs out of a straw at air units. So he shouldn't be able to lose a Tempest with this position that he can use on this natural expansion, for example.
Yeah, I've seen spitballs do more damage than those Cyclones to air units, but here we go. Tempest gonna come in range. I mean, what are the target priorities? Because Tempests don't do damage very quickly, but they can do it safely. And this is under a timer, right?
So I've watched enough of Rotterdam's stream to know that the key here is to get 2 Tempests, and you can just start one-shotting the SCVs so he can't pull them away. And he can just kill the missile turret too, which allows the Oracle to come back into play. And then they'll also be one-shotting when he has 2 Tempests, the Marines. But SpeCial decides, screw it, I'm gonna just run straight across the map. I'm just going to YOLO this one.
I can do more damage faster than you.
Yeah, he theoretically could try to do this in like a very, very weird base trade scenario. There is no mothership. Okay, the mothership core is available, but it's by the natural expansion, so he's got to bring it down.
Okay.
If he pushes this quickly enough, the Cyclones can kill one of the pylons and then power through the second one. But the Stalkers are here. Ooh. He's going to try to push this back. Most importantly is this Widow Mine's actually going to give vision, so he can kill those buildings on the bottom with the Cyclones. He has vision now forever.
Oh, and Haas is preoccupied. Every second counts right now, and those Tempests not attacking for even a little bit just gives SpeCial a better economy.
Yep, and this is exactly what I was talking about, because he has the vision from the Widow Mine that's burrowed on the high ground. He can kill the Cybernetics core, and there's nothing that Haas can do about it. He doesn't have enough to kill this by any means. These are just unupgraded Stalkers, and those are Cyclones, which are they are the predator for sure of Stalkers in the early game for Terran versus Protoss.
Okay, well, Mothership is here with another Fortune Overcharge, can prevent the army from moving straight back up. 2 Vikings join the fray. Tempest should be able to deal with those, may take a bit of damage, and the Photon Overcharge, fighting directly into the
That might be the only way to lose that fight, to just walk up a ramp into Photon Overcharge. He also shot his own Cyclone, by the way, with his Marines for a second.
Oh, that's painful. And he is going to be able to clean up one of the Tempests, might even be able to get the second one, which would be a huge one. Oh, but Haas actually killing off the Medevac is going to shut down some vision.
Repair, good unit.
Oh.
And Haas in a very awkward position now. He has built enough Stalkers to deal with these Cyclones, but a good target fire with that Widow Mine could actually pick off quite a few of them. Or no, it just went off. I think
did he just lose the Mothership core?
I believe so. Yep, and now the mine is running over towards the natural after it has killed the Mothership core, so there's nothing to deal with it here. It's just going to burrow amongst the probes.
Ninja Mine. Nobody saw it.
Nope, hashtag just chilling. So Blink is on the way, and Stim is on the way. Vikings +1. I'm feeling a little bit worried here for our Taiwanese Protoss player. He's trying to get everything running up again, but he still has the mine in his base. The Observer's finally going to come up and clean this out. And these Vikings are actually still very useful if he goes for any sort of counterattack anytime soon, because Vikings destroy Stalkers ever since they got that plus mechanical damage. Their utility is not lost in defending a proxy Tempest Rush. And I've never said that sentence before in my entire life, Fear Dragon, so you're part of history with me now as well.
Well, it's a long way from Arena. He, funny enough, does not opt to kill the Stargate. I think he needs to clean that up.
He left the one Viking there to do it, but he didn't do it.
Yeah, didn't get the memo.
Is this some like...
He's on break.
And maybe some really weird high-level mind games. Maybe he's like, please build another couple Stargates back home. No, there we go.
Okay. Well, we'll be able to clean it up now. There's additional gateways being added on back at home for Haas. He's getting a Blink, getting ready for the next stage of this game. But this is going to
he's going to be up against Stim Marauders and landed Vikings, and yeah, I feel very concerned right now for Haas. SpeCial has done exactly what we said he would do in this series, which was just play his straight up A game. And I fully expect that when Stim is done, and it's just about done, so he can move out now. If he just goes with his Vikings and lands them and goes for a big fight, wait, is Haas going to attack him?
I mean, he is under a timer since he doesn't really have any other tech coming up, but this is going to be so
still
difficult.
an anti-timing because +1 and Stim are done. So he's actually, he could just straight up murder him right now. He does take some solid force fields, though, with the Guardian, so he forces him to pull back. Where are the Vikings? Yeah, these bad boys need to show up. These will turn the tide of the battle 100%. Because he can kill the War Prism in like one shot.
Well,
or this will do as well, because it's all mechanical units. So these Vikings are actually landing an incredible amount of damage in this fight.
Taking out both of the sentries. The Stalker Blink Micro has to be unbelievably on point. He can also use the War Prisoner Micro, but he is slowly starting to bleed out more and more of these Stalkers. Sorry, I take it back, Nathaniel. He is quickly bleeding them out, as you said. Those Vikings dealing some damage.
Vikings are extremely scary versus the Stalkers. One of them has 3 kills, the other one has 1 kill, so that's 4 of the Stalkers or sentries eliminated just by those units that were defending the proxy Tempest Rush at the start of the game, as once again, as weird as that sounds. Haas building a proxy pylon behind the natural. I don't know how that probe got there. I don't know if that's the original probe from the start of the game. He just never killed it.
He's going to build another Stargate, Nate.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Okay, well, Blink Stalkers can at least harass these units and see as they move across the map, but the problem is they can't really do anything else about it.
Somehow I got a mine in both bases again.
Yeah,
and
both going to burrow. Ooh, nice micro.
Not bad, not bad. So he's going to catch all these Stalkers, though. And he's just like, yeah, GG. Nothing I can do there.
SpeCial takes another 2-0.
very dominant fashion there. We did get to see a bit of the cheeky Haas that we know and love, though. Nothing like a good old proxy Tempest rush on Proxima Station. The logic is there. It's impossible to hit that Tempest, anything from the ground. But then you're like, well, if you don't rush it out fast enough, or if you don't do damage and I scout it, I just kind of bleed a few SCVs and build Vikings and kill you.
Exactly.
The counterattack was also amazing.
Really just intelligent play from SpeCial, though, under the face of some very, very big weirdness.
Yep, super weird builds. The heavy reliance on the attack upgraded Zealots and all of that goodness. But he does triumph. He takes the series 2-0. And now we are going to hear from the man SpeCial himself. He's on the main stage with Smix.
Thank you very much, Nathanius. You're moving on, SpeCial. Congratulations. Top 16 here. Not a surprise considering you've had such a great year with WCS, but knowing you were going up against a player like Haas, who's obviously notorious for doing some tricky stuff, was there any nerves at all, or did you feel prepared?
Not really. I think as long as you play safe and you scout, you should be fine. So I just did that and I was fine.
Well, at WCS Jönköping, you ended your run at top 8. How did you spend your time since then? I know that you practice a lot in Korea.
Well, basically that, just keep practicing, and since I got in GSL again, I need to practice for that as well. And I just keep practicing and see how I do this one.
How do you feel that practice is going? Do you feel really good at this event, or not so much? Where's your play at right now?
Well, it's kind of funny. I play a lot of custom games with my friends, and I was doing good in those. And then I played ladder, and I was almost top 5. And then the same day, like one day before coming, I went all the way down. It was like a roller coaster. It was pretty funny, but I think I'm good.
Now, at this event, there's obviously a lot of amazing players. I need to mention Neeb, as he is the one that keeps knocking you out. So is he someone you really want to face at this event and possibly get revenge on?
I hope if we play in the finals. I think him and I think Scarlett also probably the 2 hardest players.
All right, well, now you're in the top 16, so best of luck in the match. Always looking forward to your series. But for now, let's head back to the desk with the boys.
That's right, thanks very much, Smix. SpeCial able to take the 2-0 victory there against Haas. Haas brought out some of his trickery, Todd, but it was not to be here for Haas in this game.
Yeah, SpeCial just a little too solid. I think here up against a Haas who, in a way, is predictable, but in game 1, he felt like he kind of got forced into playing a normal game. Game 2, he tried a Roddy build, which you only work if you're Roddy. So it didn't work.
That's true.
I think that's what happened.
That's probably what happened. Unfortunately for Haas there, going down in that game, but he's not eliminated yet in this group, right?
No, he can still make it out, and hopefully he will, because I would love to see more from that guy.
So
Every single time. It's always a pleasure.
So would I. We are joined at the desk as well by In Control. In Control, you've been keeping an eye on Neeb versus TLO, haven't you?
Yes. It went to game 3, which is really scary, because like we were talking about, Neeb losing here would be really tough for him. He's already won 2 tournaments, so it's not like the results would be upsetting for him, but I think losing to TLO, who they have this weird rivalry, okay, all right, guys, would be really weird. Anyways, it went normal.
Yeah.
All 3 games, and it just kind of ended with, this is interesting from Neeb. Last time we talked about this too, where it's like, you'd think he'd mix it up. He more mixes up the timings of the matchup, not really what he's going to do. He's always going to fall back on like a depth, gateway timing, attack pressure kind of stuff, and that ultimately served him really well here.
Very well done by Neeb. Unfortunately for TLO, the curse continues. Obviously, always eliminated by TLO.
Perhaps we could take a look at what happens in those last few moments of TLO versus Neeb.
Oh my God, Todd.
Let's do it.
We could.
Why not? Why not?
Well, I'm not set up to do it at all, and I just told you what happened. But yes, we could look at the replay.
And
Here
Go
it
for it,
is.
Jeff. Just take it in your stride, my friend.
I'm literally not in for the... Here we go. Well, what I liked about this, though, is if you look, the supplies are fairly even. And what we're not going to see here... Well, maybe we'll go long enough. We'll go long enough. We're buying time.
Yeah.
This gets cleaned up. So TLO feels pretty confident in this. He is losing a few workers behind this. They're about even, which is a little bit worse for Zerg. But then something really interesting happens. We have a big fight over here.
Neeb gets overconfident.
But I don't blame him. He like jumps on top of this, but TLO does a good job bringing down the queens. He just fully goes for it, cleans this up. And then there's this really scary thing that happens. So TLO kind of forgets that there's a warp prism out there. And he knows there's a warp prism because it's been warping in things. But he's going. He's across the map. He's committed.
He gets creative.
That's not creative. It's just bad. But Adepts show up, and he's just, at this point, he's like, well, I'm middle of the map. I've been slowed down. I have to.
Yeah.
So this is where we don't really judge him. But I'd never liked this decision because going into a Protoss like this, they're always going to have Photon overcharge. They're always going to have some units to warp in. If they don't, then they made a huge mistake. And when you're playing against a 2-time WCS champion like Neeb, you shouldn't be like, well, I hope he's making a terrible mistake. That being said, though, like I said, Tilo was put in a hard spot where he kind of had to do that. I just don't like that he made that choice because he knows a Warp Prism's out there. So, of course, this is what's probably going to happen. And that's it. He dies from here.
A fantastic breakdown from In Control.
But yeah, thank you, guys.
We're still at the point where we don't get to see how far TLO can truly go because he keeps running into Neeb again and again and again.
Well, that's it, Claire. We know exactly how far TLO can go. It's until he hits Neeb every time. It's been 3 WCSs and 3 Neebs.
3 Neebs.
You know what I like about that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. A little bit of a history lesson for you guys. Now, a lot of people out there, you're like, In Control, handsome, smart, great commentator. I understand why he's up there. What you didn't know is I used to lose a lot of games at MLG, but the only games I won was against TLO, and it was playing Protoss, doing some tricky stuff.
Yeah, remember the hidden probe in his main base, Pylo, and then Warp in there.
Before
and you dare talk about these games, like.
It's my highlight of my career. Of course I'm going to talk about it. What do I look like here? But Dario has had some trouble with American Protosses in the past. Now Neeb and I are a little bit Eskimo brothers with TLO about that. That's a league reference for you. It's going to go over a lot of people's head.
I think I kind of know it. Anyway, let's check in with the groups and see what has gone on so far as swiftly as possible. Anything stood out for you guys so far here?
There's been a lot of crazy stuff. Where is one of these? Well, Cham is already out. So we were talking about Cham. This is his worst performance so far. I was hoping that he would escalate because actually last tournament, he had that really amazing, by the way, go back and watch that. His ZVZ against Snoot, the final game, is one of the most exciting finishes to a StarCraft 2 game I've ever seen. But this is a step backwards for him. Scarlet, it looks like, is again in that kind of elimination spot. I believe she is either fighting for, well, anyways. There's a couple. Yeah, I would say Cham is probably the bigger one for me there. Yeah,
I would say so as well. Our next match is going to be Uthermal going up against Massa and a TvT. Both players that have had some, successes here and there. Massa obviously had done well at a previous Austin a year or two back. And then Uthermal obviously doing so well at Intel Extreme Masters Shanghai last year. So, but I think that this is an elimination game, right? So
these should all be decider matches at this point in time. We should know. It looks like Snoot did go through in his group. Serral did drop one map, it went through there. Nurchio, and that was SpeCial. So a lot of our usual suspects, Kaiser and Laser behind this. But this is an interesting elimination match, Massa is a bit of a TvT sniper, and Uthermal, I think, is the more all-around strong Terran as of late. Yeah. But we have seen amazing performances from Massa. You talked about last year. He was in the top 4 in like 2 or 3 tournaments in a row.
Yes, he was.
Beating very good players, and not just off the back of TvT. So this should be a really fun one.
Actually, I just realized our players that made it through Challenger for Europe were, remember, it was the 4 Zergs.
Yes.
3 of them took first place in their group. That's Elaser, Serral, and Nurchio. The 4th one, TLO, falls, sadly. So some good consistency with the Challenger successful players translating that result into a first place finisher here in that round of 32.
Sorry, I jumped on your tongue a little bit there. But Jon Snow, I think the only American player other than Neeb, is actually in a decider match against Cloudy. And Cloudy, by the way, has been on stream, and we've been covering Cloudy, playing very well as a Chinese player, I believe. And I think a lot of people can be excited about that.
He's been training in the base straight TV house, that's
okay.
Our own Chinese player there. All right, well, we are going to go to a break, and when we are back, we're going to have that TvT on the way for you in just a bit here for WCS Valencia as Uthermal goes up against Massa.